Welcome to Book World with Karen Rayborn. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.
Hello everyone. Look at your life. Look at your choices. Choosing to watch this video is the best choice that I've ever made. In case you're new here, kindly consider subscribing to this channel. And for the returning subscribers, thank you so much for always coming back and appreciating my content. In today's video, we are doing analysis of A Man Can Try by Eldred Durosimi Jones. So kindly sit back, relax and enjoy the analysis. Yes, this is a short story, A Man Can Try by Eldred Durosimi Jones. Yes, what is the meaning of the title A Man Can Try? A man is obligated to follow through whatever he says he's going to do. Even though that is not the right thing, that is not what he feels he's supposed to do, he still has no choice but to do that. First, let's get to the characters of this book before we continue. The characters that we have in this book, we have the first character as Trevor Tarlock. Trevor Tarlock is the husband to Mary. They've been married for 8 years and they have a son called Tamba. Yes, and then another thing that we know about Trevor Tarlock is also engaged to Denise. They've been engaged for 3 years and now they're supposed to be getting married in England. Then we also have Mary. Mary has been treated in this book as a sexual object. Mary lived with Trevor for 8 years and they bore a son called Tamba, just like I mentioned. And even though they did that, Mary is still left behind in Africa. And then Mary is now also an African. Mary is illiterate. Mary is soft and melting. Mary is devoted to Trevor, and we can see that from the compassion that Mary shows Trevor. Yes, and then we have this English woman, a sophisticated woman, highly educated, very fond member of central office of her political party, Denise. So Denise, as this woman, is now considered as that woman who is now educated, English woman. So there's also the issue of class, there's the issue of racial prejudice and all that happening here. And now we have the friends to Trevor Tarlock. We have Old Pademba, that is superior of Bomb. Then we have Old Prothero, the father of provincial administration. Yes, now we get to the setting of the story. The setting of the story is in Africa and England. Yes, as we can see, there's someone living in Africa with an African woman, that is Trevor, for 8 years, and Trevor now has to leave and go back to England to marry Denise, whom they've been engaged for 3 years. Yes, that is what happens here. Now, what is the storyline of this book? I know you'd wonder. We have Trevor Tarlock, a civil servant who is leaving Africa to go back to homeland, that is England, to marry Denise. Yes, just like I mentioned, Trevor has been married to Mary for 8 years. They have a son together. But because of what cannot be avoided, he's now forced to go back to England, to go back there, even though this man have lived in Africa for so long, for several years, 8 years, and now has adapted to the way of living in Africa and the culture and all that. He still has to go back, even trained by Africa, and wonders how he will cope in England. But that does not change the fact that Trevor has to leave. Trevor goes back and beats the wife by and says that like he doesn't have any choice but just to leave. Yes, and then he leaves behind the African woman with whom he has been married to, and then starts a journey. In this journey, he keeps comparing his wife, African wife, with his English wife to be, that is Denise. Trevor is living with sorrow and guilt in his heart. He reacts differently with pity, but can that change the result? It doesn't. At the end of it, he still has to go to England and leave Mary behind. And Mary in this story had been seen as someone who is a victim of her race. Just because she's an African, that entitles her to be used as an object in this story. And does Mary have any choice? No, Mary has to bow to fate. Whatever fate will bring, that is it. As she sobs, she cries and all that, but that cannot change the fact that even though this husband that she's loved so much for 8 years, stayed together for 8 years, born a baby together, and in these 8 years, in this period, has to go, and there's nothing that Mary cannot change. And at some point, Mary thought about this man leaving and said that she knew that they would part ways at some point, and says that parting is inevitable, just like death. Just like death cannot be avoided, same as parting, because she's an African woman. And then we have this Trevor Taylor, who doesn't believe in until death do us part. Even though they've been married, they've been living together with Mary, still doesn't have to compromise the fact that he's going back to England to marry someone else. And someone might ask, does love live between Denise and Trevor? No, there's no love, but a man can try. You just have to do it. There's nothing that you can do about it. You just have to go. What can you do about it? Yes, and then even though he's guilty about everything that's happening, there's nothing that he can do other than just going to England. And then we have, this brings us now to the themes in this book. We have racial and sociocultural prejudice. There's an African and there's someone from England. These people cannot live together, live together even though they were married, because the difference in race. This is an African, this is someone from England. This man has to just leave an African woman, a loving woman, compassionate wife, and just go to marry someone that love doesn't exist between them. Yes, and then we also have the socio-cultural prejudice. We're talking about a well-educated, nice, sophisticated woman, a woman of class, a woman who is good at addressing people in parties, political rallies and all that. And then we have another woman on the other side. This woman is a soft woman, a melting woman, illiterate woman, an African woman. And because of that, even though this woman was loving and devoted herself to Trevor, that didn't matter. That didn't change the fact that she was just a sexual object. Yes. And so through this story, you can get to see that this the title of the book, A Man Can Try, by Jones. This just brings the aspect that even if this guilt that is living between these people, even though there is love that is living between them, there's nothing that this man can do other than just going, because race has dictated that, because the social cultural aspect has dictated that, and the prejudice and all that. So this man has just to leave and go back to England to marry someone that love doesn't exist between the two of them. Yes, so that is the story. I'm sure you've enjoyed watching this video. In case you've not read this story, it's online. You can Google and read it. It's a very nice story by Eldred Durosimi Jones. Yes, and it will enlighten you about the aspect of race, the aspect of the racial segregation, and all the socio-cultural prejudices. Yes, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Thank you so much for staying put on your screens. Let's meet again on our next video. Bye.